Good evening. You're going to be in my company for the next half an hour. I've met someone like me before, but well, here I am. I am not made of flesh and blood, but of brick and stone. My voice and my step may be youthful, but I've stood on this hill since the 19th century. My life has not just been mine. It's also the life and the story of Shimla. I am Bantani. I am this historical mansion. There was no town. There were no big buildings. There was just a hill with a thick forest. But that hill and the forest were full of life, with birds and animals. As the 18th century came to an end, Nepal was forging itself into a powerful nation to the east of Shimla. Within the first decade of the 19th, had captured a portion of today's Himachal Pradesh. In these hills, some local rulers lost their kingdoms to these hardy warriors.
What should we do, my king? Even if a stone hurts their feet, they will go on till it is ground to powder.
East India Company is very powerful and has a huge army. Let us ask them for help.
Them? Whatever for? The directors of the East India Company do not pay us.
For a few years, the company sat silent and watched as great chiefs. Then a series of events across Europe and other parts of India made the British send 4 armies into the hills. The areas around Shimla witnessed pitched battles and several skirmishes. The hill rulers and the British were victorious. In 1815-16, the Gurkha Wars came to an end. Within a couple of years, officers from the East India Company's army began exploring these hills.
What a delightful place. Water. Why not build a house here, sir? You can discharge your duties better from these hills compared to Sabatu, which is so awfully hot in summer. Ha! Splendid idea! We shall build a house on that wooded rise. What say? Yes, sir.
Some decades before I appeared in 1822, Captain Charles Pratt Kennedy constructed the first permanent house in what was to become the town of Shimla. One happy guest at Kennedy House in 1831 was the French botanist Victor Jacquemont.
Monsieur, this village is nothing but the resort of the rich, the ideal, and the invalid.
Monsieur Jacquemont, for a botanist, you do have a sense of humor.
And thanks to you, Captain Kennedy, I have not tasted water in weeks.
The Governor-General, Lord Amherst, arrived in 1828. The following year, the Commander-in-Chief of the British Indian Army, Lord Combermere, arrived in what was still a little tiny village. Combermere's visit provided a glimpse of what the future held for Shimla. The first substantial building works were undertaken by him. Over a stream, he built a large water tank and a bridge that still bears his name. A few years later, in 1830, the core lands that were to form the town were acquired from the rulers of Patiala and Kionthal. It seems the ground was being prepared for my arrival. By 1831, there were 60 houses in this place, whose name is variously reported as Shumla, Shimla, or Shemla. The name could have come from a small temple covered with slate, Shemalaya, or from the local deity, Shamla Devi. But this is something that has been lost in the mists of time. It is something we will never know for certain. Just down the road from me is the venerated shrine of Kali Badi. The main image, which is made of dark marble, is flanked by 2 stone ones. They are believed to be the original ones that came from a shrine on the hill of Jakko. They do. Somewhat like Rome, Shimla has 7 or 8 hills. Towards the west is Prospect Hill, which is crowned by the temple of Kamna Devi. In the same direction are Summer Hill and Potter's Hill. Then, with the old Viceregal Lodge atop it, is Observatory Hill. Adjoining this is the Ingram Hill with the State Museum. There is Jakko, which I just mentioned, and then there is the Elysian Spur, which extends out of this. It has the Auckland House School and other buildings. Last but not least, there is this hill, and as may be expected, this is also referred to by some as Bantony. No, not all, but Shimla is the oldest church in Shimla, and is on the ridge. It appears almost like the town's signature over the skyline. Just above the hill from here, on the site of today's Grand Hotel, Bentinck Castle was built in 1829 to accommodate the British Governor-General, William Bentinck.
ये वाला
Located a little below, Bantony, where we sit now, was also named in his honor. In the 1880s, Raja Shamsher Prakash, the ruler of the princely state of